My dad had always been obsessed with saving money. From clipping coupons to skipping vacations, he believed every penny counted. So when he got a sudden heart condition, his first thought wasn't his health, it was the hospital bill. The doctors recommended urgent treatment, but my dad hesitated. He thought aggressive care would drain our family savings, and in a moment of panic, he made a choice he thought was practical. Without telling anyone, he signed a Do Not Resuscitate order. He believed it was a way to protect us from financial ruin, never imagining the consequences. That evening, I saw him sitting alone, staring at the papers with a strange mixture of fear and determination. Mom asked where he'd gone, and he simply muttered, "I'm fine." But I could see it in his eyes. Something heavy was brewing. The atmosphere at home changed overnight. Small arguments turned into shouting matches. My siblings whispered about what Dad might be planning. Even family dinners became tense. Everyone tiptoeing around a looming secret no one wanted to acknowledge. It was as if a shadow had settled over our house, and every glance at Dad carried unspoken questions. What had he done? And what could it cost us? Then the inevitable happened. He suffered a minor heart attack, and the paramedics rushed him to the hospital. That's when we discovered the DNR order. The doctor's eyes widened. "You understand this could be fatal?" he asked. Dad's face drained of color as the reality hit him. He had signed a paper to save money, but he hadn't realized that it could put his life and everything we had at risk. The tension reached its peak when the hospital began sending notices and bills. Savings accounts, insurance policies, even the family home suddenly seemed fragile. My dad turned to us, voice trembling. I thought I was protecting us. I didn't know it could cost everything. The room went silent. In that moment, it was clear. One simple decision had the power to unravel our entire family. And then the next call came, the one that would make us question every choice he'd ever made. The next 48 hours felt like a storm we couldn't escape. Every phone call, every letter from the hospital added another layer of panic. Dad's savings plan had completely backfired. The DNR, meant to protect us financially, had triggered a chain reaction that threatened everything we owned. Accounts we thought were secure were tied up in pending claims. Insurance policies had clauses we'd never read. Even the family home suddenly felt fragile, hanging on the edge of legal loopholes. Our relatives were split. Some offered sympathy, others blamed Dad openly, calling his decision reckless. The tension in the house was unbearable. Siblings argued about how we could fix things, while Mom tried to keep Dad calm, but he was spiraling. He had tried to make a practical choice, and now the practical reality was catastrophic. Every day brought a new bill, a new threat, a new reminder that one paper could hold so much power over life and livelihood. One evening, Dad sat me down, exhausted and pale. "I thought I could handle it alone," he admitted, voice cracking. "I didn't want anyone judging me, but I never imagined the cost would be this high." I could see the guilt weighing on him, heavier than any medical diagnosis. It wasn't just the money, it was the trust he had broken, even unintentionally, with his family. Then the ultimate shock arrived. A distant relative who had been quietly observing our struggles revealed a clause in the mortgage tied to medical liabilities. Because of the DNR, the bank had initiated steps to reclaim the house. Our home, the place Dad had fought to protect, was now in jeopardy. Everything he had tried to save was slipping away. That night, we sat together in silence. The reality hit harder than the heart attack itself. One decision, made in fear and meant to protect us, had turned into the greatest threat to our family. Dad's eyes were wide with disbelief, and the weight of his actions pressed down on all of us. The cliffhanger. Just as we began to process the news, the phone rang, and this call would reveal a truth no one in the family was prepared for. The 72 hours that followed were the most intense of our lives. Every decision my dad had made to protect the family had backfired, and now the consequences were impossible to ignore. The hospital bills continued to pile up, the mortgage company pushed forward, and even the savings we thought were untouched were frozen in legal disputes. My dad sat quietly in his room, staring at the stack of notices on the table, each one a reminder that his attempt to control fate had gone horribly wrong. But in the midst of chaos, the truth began to emerge. Conversations with lawyers, insurance agents, and even the hospital administration revealed something shocking. The DNR order itself hadn't automatically triggered the financial disaster. It was a combination of miscommunication, missed deadlines, and outdated paperwork. The irony was cruel. Dad had acted out of fear and frugality, yet the real cause of the collapse was preventable. One small oversight in handling the hospital and insurance forms had amplified his mistake into a near catastrophe. As we worked tirelessly to untangle the mess, I realized how fragile our lives had become. Trust had been tested, family bonds were stretched to the limit, and yet something unexpected happened. Dad, who had hidden so much behind his desire to control everything, began to open up. He admitted his fears, his regrets, and for the first time, asked for help without hesitation. It was a small shift, but it changed the energy in the house entirely. Step by step, we began to reclaim what was lost. Lawyers negotiated with the bank and hospital, insurance policies were corrected, and some funds were recovered. Each day brought incremental victories, but also a reminder of how close we had come to losing it all. The emotional toll was immense, arguments, tears, and sleepless nights, but the lessons were profound. We realized that no financial strategy, however clever, could replace honesty, communication, and preparation. And then came the final revelation. The distant relative who had warned us earlier approached Dad quietly. The house, the savings, everything could have been lost, they said. But you have a chance to make it right if you act now with clarity and transparency. In that moment, Dad understood the gravity of his choices, not just as financial mistakes, but as a test of character. He had tried to protect us, but in doing so, he had risked the very thing he cherished most, the family itself. By the end of the third day, the worst was behind us. While the financial wounds were not fully healed, the family had grown stronger. Dad had learned that fear-driven decisions, even those made with good intentions, can be far more destructive than anticipated. And for all of us, the lesson was clear. Sometimes the most valuable wealth isn't money. It's trust, transparency, and the courage to face life together. The twist that no one expected. The DNR order, once a symbol of fear, became a catalyst for change. It forced us to confront uncomfortable truths, communicate openly, and rebuild not just our finances, but our family bonds. What began as a near disaster became a turning point, a reminder that even in our darkest hours, there's a way to reclaim hope, restore justice, and protect what truly matters.